Something seismic is happening in Spanish football, and it's happening away from the pitch. On December the 20th, a routine matchday 17 tie, Villarreal hosting Barcelona, was suddenly dressed up as a global event, a one-off spectacle La Liga hopes to stage at Miami's Hard Rock Stadium. The proposal arrived like a business memo turned blockbuster announcement. Move the game overseas, open a new market, attract a different audience, and cash in on the kind of exposure leagues dream about. But the moment the idea left the boardroom and hit the public, it stopped being a commercial plan and became a test of values. Critics argue this is not expansion but an extraction, money being taken out of a domestic competition in exchange for a spectacle that by design leaves the league's loyalists behind. Real Madrid publicly demanded officials block the move, warning that it would give an undue sporting advantage and set an unacceptable precedent, while players' representatives and club captains said they were kept in the dark and branded the approach disrespectful to those who make the game live, the players and the regular fans. At the heart of the row are ordinary people, season ticket holders who plan their lives around fixture lists, families who save for away trips to follow their teams, and volunteers who give time and voice to supporter groups. For them, the stadium is not a commodity. It's a community. Imagine a fan who drives 4 hours to see Villarreal at home, who memorizes chants in the stands and buys a ticket for every visit to the Ceramica. Overnight, a home date is ripped from the calendar and transplanted to a distant time zone, where flights, hotels, and visas turn loyalty into a costly luxury. That is the grievance that animated the captains who backed Spain's Players Association, and the angry statements from supporters groups who feel their rights as fans were never considered. The league's leadership, and LaLiga's president in particular, make a different argument. They say the sport must grow, that markets overseas are the oxygen for clubs chasing revenue to compete in a global market, to sign players, and to keep their academies funded. The Spanish Federation's board acknowledged the request and forwarded it to Europe's governing bodies, which means UEFA and ultimately FIFA will have a say. That procedural step doesn't end the debate, it escalates it. Because what regulators now must weigh is not just whether the match can go on abroad legally, but whether doing so preserves the integrity of a domestic competition where results matter to promotion, relegation, and European qualification. Then came the voices that turned headlines into moral thunder. Wayne Rooney, one of the game's most recognisable figures, did not mince words. Speaking publicly about the proposal, Rooney argued that taking a match away from fans purely for commercial reasons was wrong, and that loyal supporters were being asked to shoulder an unfair cost if they wanted to follow their team. Whether you agree with Rooney or not, his intervention crystallised the feeling many supporters have. This is about more than money. It is about where the game's priorities lie. So, where does that leave the clubs directly involved? Villarreal and Barcelona have signalled their willingness to play in Miami, and Villarreal even offered assurances to their season ticket holders about travel and access. But the clash between the two positions, the commercial appetite of clubs and league executives on one side, and the resistance from rival clubs, players and fans on the other, highlights a fissure that could widen if left unresolved. The worry for critics is that one approved overseas fixture becomes a floodgate. If La Liga can sell one mid-season game, what stops it from selling more? And if precedent is set, the calendar, the fairness of home advantage, and the rhythm of the league could be reshaped not by sporting logic but by commercial timetables. There are practical questions that no amount of rhetoric can entirely paper over. Who pays for travel and accommodation? For players, staff, and referees? How do regulations about sporting integrity and home advantage get interpreted by UEFA and FIFA? What happens to local economies that rely on matchday income each weekend? For supporters groups, the answers matter because they reveal whether fans are stakeholders with rights or mere consumers of a packaged event. For young players in Villarreal's academy, the decision could be a lesson in modern football's trade-offs. Build a global brand and accept compromises, or defend a local identity and risk falling behind in revenue. Both paths carry costs. As regulators weigh the legal and sporting boxes, the debate has already leaked into the public square. Social feeds are full of petitions, columnists have taken up placards, and the story has become an argument about the sport's soul. The final say, whenever it comes, will not just decide whether one match is played in Miami. It will signal whether the balance between commercial expansion and the traditions of domestic football tilts further toward global markets, or whether there are limits worth defending. In the end, this is a story about identity, who football is for, who football belongs to, and whether fans will have to buy a plane ticket to keep that belonging. The answer could reshape Spanish football for years to come.